Hello, my name is Désirée Maltais. I'm an editor on this book, Promoting Physical Activity and Fitness, Supporting Individuals with Childhood-Onset Disabilities. I'm based in Quebec City, Canada, where I'm an associate professor in the Rehabilitation Department at Université Laval and a researcher in physical activity at the Center for Interdisciplinary Research in Rehabilitation and Social Integration.
And I am Reidun Jahnsen, and my work is threefold. I'm based in Norway, and I'm head of the research department at Beitostølen Health Sports Center, which is a rehabilitation center high up in the Norwegian mountains. And in addition, I'm a senior researcher in the Norwegian Quality and Surveillance Registry of Cerebral Palsy at Oslo University Hospital and a part-time professor at the University of Oslo. And I am co-editing this book together with Désirée Maltais, and I'm also a co-author of 3 of the chapters in the book.
Thanks, Reidun. And I should add that I'm also a co-author on one of the chapters in the book with Reidun. So when we talk about this book, one of the things that came out for us when we were deciding who this book would be about and who we wanted to be our readers was, well, what's already out there for people and who isn't really served well by what's out there. And what we came to realize is that there's a lot of information for professionals, especially for researchers. When we look at people with lived experience, people with childhood onset disabilities and their families and others in the community who are supporting their physical activity, there is a lot of information available now on the internet, but it's not necessarily curated. And as I like to think about it, it can be like a Pandora's box. What is the information that can be useful to me? What is the information that maybe isn't useful? So we wanted to develop this book, but for people with childhood onset disabilities, their families, for people in the community that support their physical activity. That can be educators, that can be coaches. And also we thought about other people who have some of the expertise to help people with childhood onset physical disabilities be more active, but maybe this book could help complete the information without being too technical. So rehabilitation clinicians who don't necessarily have an exercise science background, or people who are exercise science individuals, but don't necessarily have a background with people with childhood onset disabilities. So that's the group we were targeting, in addition to students in exercise science, coaching, education, and students in the rehabilitation professions. We wanted to serve a group who maybe don't always have the information readily accessible in an easy to understand manner.
And that's what I liked when you asked me to co-edit this book together with you, Désirée, because McKeith Press asked you to write a book like this. And in the beginning, I was kind of a little skeptical because I thought of these scientists who have the information on the internet in scientific articles whenever they want to. But as my job in this rehabilitation center has the main intervention as adapted physical activity, who meets a lot of people, like 800 persons with different disabilities in all ages every year. And there are clinicians and students and also researchers coming there throughout the year. So I thought, yes, I agree. We will do this book.
And I'm just so grateful that you agreed to be a co-editor. Your perspectives have been invaluable in this book. And I think it's always, 2 heads are always better than 1. So thinking about our target readers, we did have a way of structuring the book. So we wanted to provide a first chapter that really gave an overview about kind of how to use the book and what's in the book. So our first chapter gave that kind of an overview and reminded prospective readers that the book is written in a very accessible language. That was one of our goals. It could be written in accessible language that people without a background in rehabilitation or childhood onset disabilities, but an interest in helping, or in physical activity as well, but an interest in helping people with childhood onset disabilities become more active, they could understand the book. And it also gave them some background information to make certain things that are done to help individuals with these conditions be more active make sense. So we started the book with this overview chapter, and then we had some very general chapters. So we had a chapter on exercise science, kind of like a primer on what happens to the body when we're active and we're not active. What's the difference between how we adapt as children to exercise or physical activity, how we adapt as adults. We provided information on principles of physical fitness, how we evaluate, how we can become more physically fit, very general things. We provided a chapter on safety. That's especially relevant to people with childhood onset physical disabilities so that they can be active safely. We provided general information on how we might measure or track physical activity, the different ways to do that, so we can understand if someone's active or not, times of the day, the context in which they're active. We had a general chapter as well on promoting a physically active lifestyle. How do we do that? And I'd like to have Reidun give us a little bit more information because she was invaluable on helping us shape that chapter and writing it.
Yes, and I also was a co-author on the safety consideration chapter, and I was kind of surprised because there are really not very many safety considerations that you need to think about. It's like physical activity is beneficial for everyone, nearly no matter what. And this motivation chapter, if we could call it that, it's really important that all the chapters have the lifespan perspective, but not least this chapter, because research shows that what you learn and like as a child predicts what you do as an adult. And to build an identity as a physically active person, it starts during childhood. So therefore, this motivation chapter for physical activity and physically active lifestyle emphasizes the importance of starting early and then keep on for life.
Thanks, Reidun. One of the things I really enjoyed about those chapters, the safety chapter, was that you were specific about safety concerns that can occur for many people: hydration, dehydration. Also, sometimes people with childhood onset physical disabilities may have some joint issues. So you didn't ignore those issues. There are often issues that people can have in the general population. As you said, people can be active despite having these disabilities, but you put it out there. Here's the things to consider for these different areas. And then, so that I thought was really well done. So it's a good chapter to get an understanding and overview of safety issues without making it that it's not safe to exercise. I thought there was a good balance. And I did really enjoy the chapter on promoting a physical lifestyle. I thought that physically active lifestyle, I thought that you really did talk about the motivation. We're looking at changing a behavior. Physical activity is a behavior. And you talked about starting young. And I think that is crucial. And it was I enjoyed reading them as the editor. So after these after these general chapters that we have, we went into some specifics because there are some specific considerations depending on the specific health condition. So we had some chapters that were based on a specific health condition. We covered cerebral palsy, developmental coordination disorder, spina bifida, and childhood acquired spinal cord injury, childhood onset neuromuscular conditions, intellectual disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, and juvenile idiopathic arthritis. So those are the ones we chose. It wasn't easy for us as editors to decide which childhood onset health conditions we would cover. So if yours isn't in here, I apologize in advance. And I'm hoping that one of the chapters we did cover will still give you some information that is helpful to you. So we do give information on the actual health condition itself, an overview, common medications and health issues that would be important to consider in the context of physical activity. And so maybe there are medications individuals might take that might have some secondary side effects we should know about, or just so that these to help people be comfortable with that information, and maybe some other health conditions that will influence the types of physical activities people would do or the context in which they would do it. And we gave some very condition-specific principles to training to improve fitness. Fitness, if you're more fit, you're going to be more likely to be able to perform physical activities. So they go kind of hand in hand. And some specific condition information on fostering a physically active lifestyle. Now, that's really relevant because depending on one's physical capabilities, certain physical activities are going to be more helpful and certain are going to be less feasible and probably less interesting to the individual. So we give that kind of guidance, but overall a person is going to more likely be physically active if they're doing things they like and are feasible for them. So we provide condition-specific information about that. Go ahead.
And it's really important then to remember that like everybody else, people with disabilities have different ambitions regarding physical activity and sports. Some of them want to train to become Paralympic athletes, while others just want to be physically active on their own or in a sports club, in a local sports club. So some really love being physically active and have an inner motivation to be so, while others are physically active because they know they should, and maybe they need a little push and support. And I think that this book can help finding the optimal strategy for individual goals, whatever they are.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And if I'll draw on some of my clinical experience in my other life as a clinician, sometimes people want to be physically active because their friends are being physically active. I worked with adolescent boys who wanted to get into with cerebral palsy, who wanted to start weightlifting. So there are so many reasons why, as you've said, people want to be, and we're trying to help people achieve what they want to achieve and be part of making decisions about that by helping them, giving them some foundational information. And I really like that approach. So if we think about key messages in the book, we've sort of covered them already, I would say, Reidun, but feel free to add. I think being physically fit and physically active, based on what we know today, it can have lasting mental and physical health benefits. That's one of the things, it's not just physical, but certainly has benefits. Especially, and the person would need to, however, if you don't use it, you can lose it. So that's kind of a mantra in physical activity work and thinking, that the person would continue that lifestyle that promotes physical fitness and physical activity. That's really important to continue it, to gain those optimal health benefits, especially when one already has maybe some challenges because of a physical disability. This can actually help in general health, physical health, but also help them obtain their optimal physical capacities. Because
but it's not only health. It's not only the health.
No, I agree.
It's we have to remember also the potential side effects, that it can be really fun and being physically active with friends and family.
Yeah, I think you can't That's such a good point, and thank you, Reidun. We can't understate the social benefits. People living with childhood onset physical disabilities can and are at risk for isolation. Or so, yeah, the benefits of doing these things together, the social benefits, the mental health benefits are crucial. And I really agree with you on that, Reidun. Thank you for bringing it up. What we hope the book does in the end is really empowers people living with childhood onset physical disabilities and others who support them to really take their full part in making informed decisions about fostering a lifestyle that promotes physical fitness and activity over the long term. And let's not forget, as Reidun well reminded us, of the fun and the social, the health benefits. So I think we've covered why this book. What does this book add? Well, we talked about the fact that it's curated, so we're providing people with information that is, we hope, easy to understand and is evidence-based. So it's based on what we know in the scientific work, what we know as clinicians based on our own experiences. So on the training for fitness, the training for testing, how the feasible types of physical activities for our different health conditions. And those are the benefits, a book that will provide you in one place with key essential information that you can have confidence in as a person searching for that kind of information. Do you have anything else to add, Reidun, in that area?
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention that the authors represent a multidisciplinary expertise. They are clinicians, they are researchers, they are people with lived experience of different disabilities, so they can approach these topics from different angles, from medicine, from pedagogics, from sports, and from lived experience. So this is really important, I think, aspect with the book.
Yeah. Now, and that comes to the point where if I had to say a challenge in writing this book, and if I had to do it all over again, I would really have worked harder at incorporating the voices of people with lived experience. We did our best to include them in the different chapters, but I think looking at this again, hindsight's always 20/20. Having a co-editor of the book being someone with lived experience, that would, I hope, if this book goes on to other editions, that would be added. I can't say enough about the importance of people with lived experience to help us gain perspectives and help the reader gain a perspective. So we are very happy with the people that were involved in the book, and we would hope going forward, if there's other editions, that would even be a stronger part of the book. So if anyone's listening to this who has lived experience, you could contact McKeith Press and perhaps be involved in another edition of the book should that be done. That would be lovely. So
we can just mention the Linda Sandström, who wrote the foreword of the book. And she says that if I had known this, if this book had existed when I was younger, it would have been very beneficial for me. So maybe we have someone there.
Yeah. That was so, and that I will give Reidun the big thank you for bringing her on board to write the foreword as someone with lived experience. So I do encourage readers of the book to read the foreword to get that perspective, and perhaps, maybe we could encourage her to have a greater part in another version of this book. So if we want to summarize what we want you to think about as readers of this book, we said that we hope that in reading this, you may feel more comfortable taking a full role in making decisions about fostering physical activity in people with these health conditions and childhood onset disabilities. And that, as we said, that we hope that maybe if you are a person who wants to take part in research, that you read this and you see that it's really a collaborative effort, and that you understand the nature that to help people become more physically active, the research needs to be collaborative, and there needs to be collaborations in the people that support those with childhood onset disabilities to be more active. I hope you see the collaborative nature and that we all come at it, as we've said, from a different angle. And that if we had to think about what needs to be done next in the research, and what research really is it builds our knowledge base. Just think about it that way. It's building the knowledge for putting together more effective ways of looking at this. And Reidun, what would you say about implementation research and knowledge? Where do you think we need to go?
Yeah, that's always a challenge when you have done research and generated new knowledge, how to get it back to practice. And at this rehabilitation center that I am the head of the research department at, we talk about practice and research and return. We have a picture of that, which is a bridge high up in the mountains. Because when we do research, we have any question that is coming up in practice, we can use this magnifying lens and try to answer the question. We explore the question, we investigate it, and if we find something, it's really important that this answer are brought back into practice. So then new questions arise. And so up in the Norwegian mountains, where this Beitostølen Health Sport Center is, we are walking back and forth over this bridge all the time, asking questions and trying to implement the answers into practice and ask new questions. So this is our way of working. And I could give you an example. If you change the picture, for instance, we had an Australian PhD student at Beitostølen, Claire Willis from Perth. And we had this question: how can we secure transfer of what the people learn up at the rehabilitation center when they go back into their local environment in the local community? How can we secure that? And she was studying this at the center and wrote this article, which is called "It's Important That We Learn Too: Empowering Parents to Facilitate Participation in Physical Activity for Children and Youth with Disabilities." So this is one of the questions, and how we try to implement this, that the parents have to be up at the rehabilitation center together with the children. They have to learn about the activities, how to use activity devices, for instance, a sit ski or a special tricycle or something. And then we have to kind of follow them home so that they can use it, because they are not going to stay at the rehabilitation center, they are going home. So that's an example of how we work.
You really like that about the empowerment. I think that is such a key word. And that reminds me of another key word about being an advocate. So we hope that in reading this book, you do feel more empowered, depending on your role, to participate and perhaps share the book with other people that you think for whom it could be useful. And that if you're a person with a physical disability, you will feel more empowered and be able to better advocate for yourself within a rehabilitation team, within the community programs, within whatever you need to become, you feel you need to become more physically active. And if you're a family member, we hope it will help you feel more empowered to better advocate for the people with childhood onset physical disabilities. If I had to say, My favorite part about editing this book and contributing to it as a co-author would be the people that I met, the different authors that I got to interact with and co-authors, and to get to know you better, Reidun. People are important, and this is a wonderful opportunity. I felt so personally enriching to get to know people and to get to see the rich diversity of points of view. That I feel personally enriched and professionally enriched by that. That experience. Reidun, what was exciting for you doing this?
I could just say I totally agree with you. It's been a great pleasure to learn to know you and work with you and all the authors that we have been working with now for some years.
That tells you a book. Well, the book is up to date in the information as of its publication. It is a journey of a few years in getting it to this point. So in closing, we do want to thank you for taking the time to listen to us talk about this book. We really do hope that you find the book useful to you, that it meets your needs. And we hope that if you take home anything, it's that fitness and physical activity can be fun and feasible for persons with childhood onset physical disabilities. Thank you.